RBL Weekly back on the air. Week 21 of the inaugural roast battle season. I am the RBL Commissioner, Pat Barker, joined by a front runner for the MVP award this season. You've been kicking ass from LA to New York, coast to coast, Austin as well, everywhere. Yeah. Give it up for Ryan Nesen. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How you doing? Thank you for that lovely intro. That was I feel good about myself right now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like you've embraced sort of the concept of this season, which started back on March 1st, and you've always kind of been, I feel like, I don't know if underrated or underappreciated would be the accurate word. You could tell me what you think, but in the LA scene, you have a tremendous win-loss record. You always write great jokes, and it doesn't seem like people put you up on sort of that pedestal. Is that accurate? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because, as we've talked about before, it's maybe I don't have the performance angle sewn up yet, so it's kind of or as my wife tells me all the time, she's like, just have more energy up there.
Yeah,
look like you're having more fun, which Jeff has told me too. So it could be that kind of thing where I'm just not having enough fun up there to make people think I'm better than I am, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I would imagine you're having a lot of fun right now. Since the start of the season, March 1st, you're 5-0. 3-0 in LA. You won a main event at the Mothership. You won a 3-round battle in New York this past week, and you are hitting me up like, get me whatever battles you can before the season ends on November 1st. You want to win this MVP award. You want to be the guy in
I'm
LA.
so competitive about things that really don't matter.
For sure.
It's
we
crazy.
all are. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I'll play carnival games. I don't even want the prize. I'm like, I just want to win.
Right.
For no reason. But yeah, no, it's fun, man. I like it. I like the competition angle, and now that it's like a league, like it reminds me of back in the day when you guys were keeping like the statistics, and I was like, I really got to get up there. I got to do this. So
yeah, I mean, this is pretty much carved out for you. I feel like specifically because you said you're competitive, and like I always love that too. When I was coming up, we had like the rankings, and while fully acknowledging that none of it means anything, it's also just like I like to have a target to shoot for, other than like I'll just go up there and have fun.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, like roast was actually the first show I ever did. Like roast battle, I didn't even do stand-up comedy. Roast battle was the first show I did.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you kind of backdoored your way into stand-up.
Yeah, I guess.
But now you're doing both.
Yeah, now I'm doing both. I mean, I don't get a lot of spots, but I'm doing both.
Nobody does.
Yeah,
Nobody does.
I'm writing jokes.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you also you're getting really involved in posting some of the content online. Obviously, one of the developments that's happened in the last few years is we have been posting a lot more content on the Roast Battle YouTube, on the Instagram. Check it all out if you haven't already. TikTok, I presume I'm too old for that, but it's kind of everywhere. And then you have gone out of your way to sort of pull up some old battle clips and post them, and you've had a couple go viral recently.
Yeah, no, I got really lucky. Like while I was in New York, actually, I woke up, I posted a clip with Joe Urell, and woke up and saw like, I've never seen this on my screen before, just like a whole thing, like 100 likes, 100 follows, all this. I was like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
And I looked at the clip and it was at like 700,000 views. And I was like, that just happened like overnight. It was crazy. So then I was like, I got to get some other clips up and keep riding this momentum. So then I put another Joe Urell clip up and it's almost at 1 million views. And then I'm just putting up as much as I can.
And the first one is now at?
I think 3.6. And I've got like 6,000 followers from it.
So it's become like a full-time job, basically just editing these clips.
Not really. I don't do much editing. Like I don't do all the crazy editing. The trick is everyone puts subtitles on their stuff and captions. You have to do that inside of Instagram. They reward you for using their platform to edit stuff.
Really?
So if you add captions outside, it almost hurts you.
Oh my God.
It's like there's all these little things. Like I'm not sure there's like all these weird things you have to do to get in the algorithm.
I hate it, man. We can't talk. Anytime I hear the word algorithm,
so
it just like triggers something in me.
It's so annoying.
Because like I'm 40, right? I started doing comedy in 05. All right, so but I started doing stand up in 05.
Okay.
And like the whole goal was like, man, I want to make these people laugh, whatever people were there.
Right.
And then if you went up and made them laugh, you're like, I did my job. And now it's like, if we can fix the laughs in post. As long as we could trick the algorithm into thinking that this is content people want, we'll get like views and shit like that. And I'm like,
I've seen that. Have you seen people post stand-up clips where you're like, that's not a real laugh? Like,
I have seen people, there are people, and this isn't me protecting them by not saying their names. I just am very forgetful. Mm-hmm. And like people brought it to my attention and I just kind of laughed and like forgot about it. But there are people who are recording stand-up specials in literally their living room in front of nobody. They put up a fake comedy club like the Bricks or whatever.
So funny.
And then they do a whole special with no reaction and then edit it in post to make it sound like... And you could tell.
Yeah.
You could tell, but they are putting out full specials this way, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Whenever I hear it, I feel like I can't imagine how like Ice Cube feels when he listens to mumble rap.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's, in my world, that's an equal comparison.
I mean, it's cheesy as hell. Like, I remember I saw a clip someone posted, and I will protect their name, because I saw it and I was like, I sent it to my friend, I'm like, this doesn't even feel like they're in a club.
Right.
Like, they were doing jokes through the laughs, and I was like, that's not a cadence where you'd be doing jokes.
Exactly.
Like, they didn't take a second for that giant laugh.
Yeah.
So
it's ridiculous, but it's where the game is right now. But all the laughs in you versus Joe Urel are legitimate.
yeah,
Right.
that was a great battle. So much fun.
Absolutely. So if you haven't seen it, check out what's your Instagram?
The Ryan Nesen.
The Ryan Nesen.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get into some battles this week. We got a pretty good lineup, and we're going to start in Toronto. Haven't seen a whole lot of Toronto recently, but they have been they're working on building up their scene, led of course by Danish Anwar. And this battle actually features Danish. Sometimes you want the job done right, you got to get in the ring and do it yourself. So Danish battled against another guy we've seen on the show a few episodes back, Freddie Jan. It's the number 5 battle this week. Here it is.
Oh, yes. Okay. Let's start things off. Yes, okay. First and foremost, thank you very much for coming out tonight, guys. Round of applause for yourselves. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to start off with something strange. When Dinesh said how he spent his time during the pandemic, he said making content and monetizing his YouTube channel, which I'm 99% sure is code for OnlyFans. Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, because before the roast, Dinesh said, let's tell them one joke and then charge them $9.99 to do the rest.
That's hilarious.
It's actually a great business idea. Holy shit, let's stop. You might not know this, but Freddie's actually biracial. He's got the body of a black man and the voice and fashion sense of a white sex offender. Allegedly. Okay, so back in the day, Dinesh was an Indian weed dealer, which means he was the only drug dealer to also call his assistants indica and sativa. Actually, as an aspiring actor, Freddie just got signed by an acting agency to do security on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And there's been no crime ever since. So, okay. Killing it. Okay, so Dinesh is also a really good producer. He created a very popular comedy show where comedians represent their country in a winner-takes-all territorial roast battle. The show is called Your Hood's a Joke, which is coincidentally also what women say to Dinesh when they see his penis. I'm circumcised. There's no hood down here, bro. There's no hood down here. All right, this one's audience participation. Freddie's stand-up is so boring.
How boring is it?
Freddie's stand-up is so boring. After you watch his videos, you're not allowed to operate heavy machinery. All right, that was for me. That was for me. Despite that joke, Dinesh describes his comedy as political and dark. He said he was inspired to take up that comedic style after seeing Justin Trudeau on Halloween. Yeah, thank you, Samuel Fail Jackson. All right, okay. Freddie is actually part of the exclusive 27 club. He lived at home till he was 27, which is why his parents separated, by the way. In fact, by the end, they were hoping he joined the actual 27 club.
So, Freddie.
Wait, I heard someone say my name. Was it a compliment? If so, repeat it. If it was bad, then don't say it again.
They said kill yourself first.
I didn't hear that. Okay. Never mind. All right. Last time I do crowd, we're gonna roast. Okay, so growing up, Dinesh lived in Russia during the collapse of the USSR and his parents' marriage. But don't feel bad for him, though. His dad told him every day that the collapse of the USSR wasn't his fault. Sure. So obviously we exchanged information for this roast, and Freddie said that he likes anime, skateboarding, and reading. Even has a favorite book called East of Eden. Like, I knew you were too black to be cast for Oppenheimer. Turns out you're too white to be cast for Barbie.
So number 5, an absolutely adorable battle coming to us.
So cute.
So cute. No, but you could tell I like the vibes up there, the friendship vibes. Freddie versus Dinesh. What did you think? What are your initial thoughts?
I don't know who won. In my mind, I think Freddie won.
Freddie won.
Okay,
yeah.
He did win? All right,
Yeah.
good. I think the strongest joke was the person who yelled out, "Kill yourself," from the audience. Got the biggest pop of the night.
I mean, that turned out to be, normally I would advise against, if you're on stage battling and somebody says something in the crowd, just keep it pushing.
Yeah.
It's not a big crowd work show, but somehow that ended up being the funniest part of the entire thing.
Yeah, it's funny how you see different styles in like different regions, I guess, and the jokes seem much longer in Toronto. I haven't watched a lot of Toronto battles, but there's a lot of, I think I said it to you during the thing, like a lot of setup for.
Yeah, there
for
were
that.
a couple. Your Hood's a Joke was the one specifically where I was like, that's a lot of, like, you could have just said Dinesh runs a show called Your Hood's a Joke. Which is also what, like, you don't need the whole, it's a territorial roast battle where people represent the different cities and or provinces that they reside, or whatever.
He was reading the wiki.
Yeah. It's like, you don't need all that, but I did like kind of where the punchline was. I like Freddie's thought process.
Yeah.
Very, traditional wordplay based, like roast shit. The Indian drug dealer, his assistants were named Indica and Sativa. The Justin Trudeau thing.
I like that. I thought that was the strongest joke and got like zero reaction from the crowd. Are they sensitive about Trudeau up there?
That's possible. I don't know, but it was well written to take.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I like. I mean, he obviously either read a bio for Dinesh or something like that said my comedy is dark and political.
Yeah.
And he said, well, how can I, make that into a thing? And he nailed it, I thought.
Yeah, I thought that was a great joke. I thought that deserved more, to be honest.
Yeah, well, they had already decided that he should kill himself at that point.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I will say this. If you have an audience participation joke, if you are going to build the joke up with prompting the audience to say, how boring is he? The punchline better be a home run.
Yeah.
I really feel like if he had just done that joke and just been like, Freddie's comedy is so boring, you can't watch it and then operate heavy machinery, it still wouldn't have worked. But it wouldn't have felt like as big of a swing and miss. And to me, that was like a big momentum shift.
Yeah, the audience wouldn't have been so let down.
Yeah, because the audience was like, okay, all right.
We're involved now.
We're
Let's
involved.
do this.
And then the punchline bombs, and it's like, oh, now I feel like we bombed too.
Yeah. It was weird actually watching some of the stuff they would laugh at and didn't laugh at, and then their reactions, because like Dinesh had Samuel failed Jackson, and it got like 0, and he's like, all right, like he thought that was going to be the thing that busted the room open. It was
I think we've honestly all been there. Have you ever written a joke where you're like, this one's gonna fucking smash?
I mean, every joke I wrote against Doug Fager where I just was having an out of body experience, I was like, what is happening right now? So but no, when you just kind of go, okay, and let's keep moving here.
Keep it moving, yeah, exactly. But it's so often a momentum game. I thought it was reasonably close the first couple jokes, and then Dinesh whiffed in the middle, and I felt like he was just fighting an uphill battle kind of the rest of the way.
I agree. Yeah, that was I think the room made the right decision saying Freddie won that.
Yeah.
Dinesh looks like a Indian Vin Diesel, doesn't he? Like he came.
I think he might be the first person to wear he might go sleeveless
this
season. I think he's the first sleeveless battler we've seen.
That's amazing.
It's a
good look.
It was a choice.
Yeah, it was a choice.
It was a choice. But congratulations to Dinesh, who not only runs Roast Battle, but he does run Your Hood as a Joke. I know they just had a big sold-out show up in Toronto. They're doing very well. And from what I understand, they will be representing in some capacity at Just for Laughs in Montreal coming up shortly. So
Cool.
Good stuff. The Just for Laughs Toronto. That's going to be coming up in old Montreal just happened. But congratulations to Toronto. Number 5 battle this week, picking up a point. Let's keep it moving now, and let's go up to the Bay Area. And these are a couple of tenured, experienced Bay Area battlers that if you're a fan of Roast Battle, you've probably heard these names before, maybe even seen them on this podcast. This was the main event from their most recent event at Cobb's in San Francisco. It's Morgan Anderson versus Artie Valenzuela. Here it is.
Artie's going first, Morgan's going second. Everybody, this is going to be a great fucking battle. Make some noise for this battle.
All right, give it up for Morgan Anderson one more time, guys. Morgan's had a lot of plastic surgery done, obviously. Believe it or not, she was made of wood before she became a real boy.
Artie puts the no in Filipino. Artie talks incessantly about how he played football in high school, but he always forgets to add it's because he had to wear the helmet anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I am Filipino, and though I don't personally eat dog, I couldn't resist roasting this bitch.
Artie, is it weird to be named after a letter your people can't pronounce? Artie's so short, he's only 5'1". He is so short because he grew up under a table at his family's massage parlor.
Morgan's dated a lot of drug addicts, only confirming that she's the problem.
Artie has a wife. When they have sex, she still makes him wear a condom. Unfortunately, one night they ran out. Luckily, there was a Monopoly thimble close by. His wife did not pass go, obviously, but she did get the $200.
Morgan talks a lot about penises and drugs, but you guys gotta really understand people's backgrounds. She's fixated on things that inject into her face. Needles, dicks. That's it.
A list of 2.
It's okay. I got thrown off because he talked about my wife, and I didn't think you would bring up that word because you've never been called one.
Artie's built just like a can of beer with no neck. Artie told me that he's really jealous of giraffes, obviously, because of their really long penises.
It's okay. Morgan's claimed that she slept with a lot of lazy lovers, but what she means by that is she's had sex on a lot of mattresses directly on the floor.
Okay, so they didn't exactly land the dismount at the end there.
Yeah, they started off strong.
I thought it was strong most of the way through.
Yeah.
But that last joke, yeah, it just did not get it at all. But overall, I thought it was a strong battle. What'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. They're both really good writers. I know Morgan's came up here and crushed before, so she's really funny. I said to you in the middle, I'm like, this audience kind of sucks. Like when they were nailing it in the beginning, and then at the end, I was like, were they predicting the future for that last joke? But
So-
I thought it was a good battle.
So you've battled in Cobb's.
Yes,
You've battled at Cobb's Comedy Club.
I have.
It is a loss that haunts you to this day. You will still randomly bring it up at times, and I felt like you were getting a little PTSD watching that video.
I started shaking a little bit. I got that
A little
100-yard stare.
Do you want to, since you're here and you've battled there, you don't have to get into your opponent, the jokes, anything like that, but do you want to talk about, do you have personal experience with the crowd being weird? Like, what do you think?
I hate saying stuff like this, but in that battle, I don't know how it would have worked out, but if you're a white guy going against a female of color, which I saw a few times in that battle, no, in that room that night, you were at a huge disadvantage.
Okay, so you're saying the night you went there, there were
Yeah,
a few
there were a
instances.
few instances
perhaps
like that.
including you, perhaps not. A white guy going against a
Yes.
woman of color.
And the person I battled was great. I'm not taking anything away from them. They were great.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But the jokes that I was getting in were getting nothing.
Yeah.
Like it was, I even looked at the judge, Anthony, at one point, and I was like, I don't fucking get it, dude. Like it was crazy. So I get the pain of trying to do comedy there sometimes, but I honestly thought they were doing really good. I thought the wooden boy joke that he had off the top was really funny. Will never be a real boy. She was made of wood before. The football helmet joke, the massage parlor joke was really good.
Oh, yeah.
Even the drug addicts joke I thought was good, and then something with the needles and dicks kind of slowed it down.
That was. I'm a sucker for shit that's not supposed to be funny, but just is. Like when Artie was like, she sticks all these things in her face, needles, dicks, And then
That's
there's like
it.
a pause and he just goes, that's it?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, a list of 2.
Yeah. Such a long list of things.
Yeah, like the comedy rule of 2s that we're all super familiar with.
We all know about that.
And along that same line, and I know Morgan is smart enough to have done this intentionally, but when the setup was Artie has a wife.
Oh, it's so funny.
And then she just let it sit for a minute because she
Yeah.
knew that would get a big laugh.
Right.
So yeah, I really like that. I wrote down a lot of the same jokes that you did. Artie artfully pulled off the dog eating rebuttal, even though she didn't totally mention dog eating. She just said he's Filipino, and he's like, "Let's go."
Yeah.
So he scored some points with that one. Morgan did take it in the end. She is now 4-0 on the roast battle season, and maybe still the best battler from up in the Bay Area.
She's
she hasn't
great.
been as active recently, but she did win our big South by Southwest tournament, and she showed there that she can still get in there and kick some ass.
Yeah, she's really good. I mean, first time I saw her was her battle against Digits, and I was just like, whew,
Yeah.
some fire jokes in that battle.
Yeah, that was where all of us first saw her. She was coming down to L.A. once every few months and like really made a name for herself in LA, I feel like, before Roast Battle Bay Area was even near the level it's at now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Digits one is still, to this day, he is certain he won that battle.
There's no way. Digits.
In Digits' mind, he is undefeated. I kind of love that about him.
I wish I had the confidence.
I know.
I
You
fucking,
and
he
me
should
both.
bottle that.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I've never won a battle. I'm fucking trashed.
That's how I feel too.
All right, so before we get into this next battle, I alluded to earlier, you are 5-0. There are 3 battlers in the entire league across the entire world who are undefeated with at least 5 wins. We're about to watch one of them right now. This is one of your some of your competition for MVP. So you're scouting on this one.
All right.
As much as anything. This is the number 3 battle this week. It comes to us from the most recent Mothership event down in Austin, Texas. And it features Dan Nolan taking on Darian Irwin. Let's check it out.
Battle! Battle! Darian, let's roast!
Darian works as a door guy at a comedy club, and his titties are bouncers. All right.
Dan used to be fat. He doesn't tell people this. He used to be very fat. So when he OD'd, they had to revive him with Can't Believe It's Not Butter.
Darian looks like he's here to give a lecture on critical rape theory. Why are you looking at me like that?
You told me you need a CPAP to get to sleep, and CPAP stands for child porn and pills.
Darian's comedy career hasn't been making a lot of progress lately, but the place where he feels really stuck is in bathtubs.
I've lost 170 pounds this year. Shut up. Your dad lost 200 pounds when he killed himself.
Alive. I don't know. He's kind of fat and fucked up, but I don't know. He's fine. Darian did lose 170 pounds over the last year. He knew things were going well when Soul Cycle stopped charging him for 2 bikes.
Things are going well. Things are going well for Dan. He was actually cast in the reboot of the intergalactic epic Storage Wars. $60 either way.
Darian and his wife were actually expecting their first child. He was kind of upset at first when he found out there wasn't actually a bun in the oven.
You look like an Uber driver instead of driving for Uber, you just fuck kids.
You look like you have to take Uber because you're too heavy to lift.
Bad boys. Told you we can't stop. Keep it going, audience. That's Dan Nolan. That's Darren Irwin.
So that was the number 3 battle this week, and you just told me before we hit record here, that was your first time seeing Dan, who was an LA legend for many years, moved to Austin. He's killing it out there. Your paths never crossed. That was your first time seeing him.
Yeah.
Also, some prime competition for the MVP. 5-0 with that win. What did you think of him?
I thought he was funny. Very funny jokes. I really liked the what did I write? Critical rape theory.
Yeah.
I thought was great. The Soul Cycle joke was really good. Bun in the oven I thought was funny. Like I think those were all really strong jokes. Darian I love too. Darian's really funny.
They're both
like,
great.
Yeah, the CPAP, the child porn and pills.
Yeah.
I mean, you heard me. I laughed at Nar can't believe it's not butter. So stupid, but I love that kind of joke sometimes. And I thought it was a good battle. I think, Dan probably edged it out. We talked about a couple of the jokes where.
Well, Dan edged it. In all honesty, like I think Darian might have gotten him on just pure jokes. I think Dan's two biggest moments were non-scripted, which was number one, the simple rebuttal of my dad's still alive.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a wild move when you say definitively, like, your dad killed himself, and it's just not true. And I think that that's probably the most effective way to rebuttal it, just like,
Yeah.
sort of shrug your shoulders and be like, I don't know what he's talking about. He's alive.
Pulls up his Instagram. This is us yesterday.
Yeah. And I also like Dan being like, he's kind of fat and fucked up, but
Yeah.
like, he's fine.
Yeah.
And then at the end, because that was Dan's sixth joke, the Uber Lyft thing, that was after the bell.
Oh, I just thought that was a rebuttal.
No, Dan went first.
I just took it as a rebuttal to Darian's last joke.
Yeah, but after Darian's fifth joke, it's done.
Oh, you're not alled to rebuttal after a fifth joke?
I guess you can. It's after the bell.
Okay, all right.
I've never, to me, once I do my last, if I go first, once I do my last joke, I'm done.
Got it.
But I think those two moments were Dan's two most powerful moments in the battle. Whereas I thought Darian might have actually edged it a little bit, on the jokes. That's how I had it scored on mine. Although Darian did have the one big whiff.
Yeah, was it the Storage Wars one?
The Storage Wars one.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think the Uber driver looking like a pedophile got that big of a.
Yeah, no. That one, and again, I always go by momentum. It was, to me, after Dan did the "my dad's still alive" thing, that's when Darian kind of like hit a wall there.
Yeah.
But I still think if you're scoring just on points, I had Darian slightly ahead, but Dan had those two big moments to control it.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you about, let's just get into this real quick, because Dan's Uber Lyft thing, I would normally never say this, but because I was the recipient of it the first time back in 2016 when we battled, and I remember that joke vividly because it kicked my ass just like it kicked Darian's ass. Although I was heavier than Darian is, but it was a recycled joke. Now, there are multiple schools of thought on this. One of them is you're not stealing anybody's jokes. Dan wrote the joke. The joke is a great joke. Should you be able to use it again? But the reason I want to ask you is because you were just in New York and you battled somebody and you scouted them and you watched a bunch of their old battles and you found that they had used the same exact Jew joke 3 different times. So
two other battles
Two
before.
other battles. So you kind of anticipated, and what did you do?
So I saw this. I looked at the battles. He used the same joke, and I was like, I'm Jewish. I have a feeling he's going to use this again because he's used it twice, and it's gotten big reactions both times. Like, it was a good joke.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to screen record this, and if he does it, I'll pull it up during the battle. So sure enough, like third round of the battle, he does the joke, and I go, funny thing about that joke is it's been used 2 other times. And then he wouldn't stop talking so I could pull it up. So finally, I was just like, here's the proof, and then pulled it up, and the audience was kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
But the craziest thing was kind of like you said, there's different schools of thoughts. One of the judges was like, of course he used it. It's a great joke. That's called having a set. And I was like, what a weird thing. We're supposed to be writing jokes for this person.
Right.
I don't think that you should be. I mean, okay, use it one other time maybe, but don't have it on film twice.
Right.
Like I found it on your YouTube. So
it's just a really interesting thing because I interpret it the same way you do, which is write new jokes for everything. The only exception to me is if you're rematching somebody for a thing. You know, you battled before, the battle didn't get filmed, now it's going to get filmed, and, it's like, okay, if you agree with the person ahead of time, that's potentially a different thing. But if you're going into, a fresh battle, I don't think that you should plan to use shit. but there's no established rule on it. Roast battle is a relatively new sport, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are kind of like figuring it out as they go, and they feel different ways.
Yeah, I mean, it was a calculated risk. It could have backfired totally for me, too. I could have gotten booed out of there for fucking calling it up. But I was just like, I'll have it ready in case he does it, and we'll play it as it lies, I guess.
I think you made it seem really powerful by having the receipts. You know, I think if you had just gone up there and been like, "Whoa, I like that joke better the first 2 times you did it against this guy and that guy,"
Yeah.
it wouldn't. I've seen that not work. And not only not work, but turn the crowd against the person.
Right.
So it was a really creative way that you did it, which, you know,
Yeah.
I like.
Send the tape.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get the tape eventually. Calm down.
Okay.
It's okay.
I need content.
But yeah, you and your fucking.
I'm a content creator now.
Give this asshole 3 million views, and it completely changes.
I barely came here today, guys. I had to edit something. It's no big deal.
But that was it was a great battle. Dan Nolan 5-0. Should be one of the front runners for MVP. Should be getting a title shot in Austin, I would imagine, pretty soon. Darian's one of my favorite battlers to watch. Really, really enjoyed this one all the way around. So
Who has the title in Austin right now?
right now, it is Candice Medina.
I don't even know if I've ever seen her.
She recently beat Nick Roche for the title. But Austin has a couple guys. I mentioned there were 3 people who were at least 5-0. It's you, it's Dan, and it's Jack Timmons, also from Austin, who will be battling at our next Mothership show down there on August 20th. So if you're in the Austin area, check that out. Let's keep it moving now. Go to the number 2 battle this week. And I am so excited to watch this one, not only for the jokes and the battlers involved, but also the cinematography. I've never said that.
I was just, dude, what's the production value on this?
Bro,
this is crazy.
This looks like a movie.
This looks like a WWE event.
It's insane. So Roast Battle Chicago, which if I didn't get a chance to mention last episode, I was out in Chicago recently. I judged their event a couple weeks ago. Had an amazing time. They're doing such a good job out there in Chicago. Loved everything about it. And they were telling me about this event that they had just had at a place called the Vixen Theater in McHenry, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, 40, 50 miles away. And I had seen a couple things on Instagram, and I was like, damn, that looked cool. And then I got this video, and cool doesn't even begin to describe what they did at this theater. This absolutely looks like...
It looks crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. So without further ado, and this features 2 of my favorite battlers from Chicago. So the battle is good too, which helps.
Awesome.
Number 2 battle this week from Chicago. This is Evelyn Troutman going against Katie Kincaid. Here it is.
1, 2, 3! All right, guys, first off, I want to thank Evelyn for taking off her shift at Spirit Halloween to be here tonight. Yeah. She's not a cashier. She's actually just one of the skeletons that hang in the display case.
Katie is from Indiana and is bisexual, which is why she looks like she teaches queer animal husbandry. But she actually thinks that being bisexual means that you've had sex twice.
It's true.
Yeah.
I've had sex 2 times, one with her mom and the other with her dad.
Actually, I was going to say it was with your mom and your dad, because Indiana.
Good one, Avril Stringbean. Ellen looks like if you finger her too hard, she'll crack a rib. I mean, to be fair, if you taste her menstrual blood, you can tell she's deficient in iron.
Whenever Katie has sex with another woman, she finishes by saying, "Now that's progressive."
Del Vape talks. So this is actually a true story. Before our battle, Evelyn and I had a phone call to get to know each other a little bit more. But Evelyn had to push the call back because she had shit her pants. Which I love, because I think it's a great metaphor that no matter what, between the both of us, she will always be number 2.
Katie is actually going to be the maid of honor at her brother's wedding. Yeah, which is cool. Like, I didn't know you could be the maid of honor if you're also the bride.
You look like you open mouth kiss your father. I don't know what you're talking about. So Evelyn's talking about how I'm queer. Evelyn's actually queer too, but she will only go down on a woman if her clit is made of Zoloft.
And I will only scissor if there are actual blades involved. I need metal near my labia. Yeah, Katie Kin AIDS, everyone. It's weird. I never thought that by the time, if I ever actually met the barefoot Contessa, she would be in the midst of her Ozempic journey.
Oh, shut up, not so hot topic. Come on, you know. Man, like I said earlier, we're both queer women up here, and like Evelyn said, I'm bisexual, which means I'm attracted to both men and women, and Evelyn is pansexual, which means that she's annoying. Yeah, I mean, I'll help you with your act. You can rename it just Dead Pansexual, and you can go that well.
Yes, I have the most morally superior sexuality. Katie's parents owned a karate studio when she was a kid, but she never got past yellow belt. She just was only really ever into it when she could wear a completely white robe and assault minorities.
It's funny because Evelyn has actually been in a bunch of martial arts movies. She plays the board that they break in half.
It's a vital role.
Not a lot of people know this about Evelyn, but she actually used to be a rapper, and you can actually find her on SoundCloud under the name Dangerously Slim Shady. I mean, it was better than her backup name, which was White Rhymes Matter.
Thank you, Indiana Jonestown. Katie works out a lot because for her it's important that she can do anything that a man can, like beat her future wife.
I have traps of a champion, I don't know what to tell you.
Last joke.
Last joke? All right. So Evelyn looks like she has a rewards punch card for the suicide hotline. Yeah, 3 more punches and they'll pull the trigger for her.
I think it would be really healing for society if Katie killed herself. Because then people would be like, oh, I guess Casey Anthony did feel a little bad.
Keep it going for them, everybody. Holy shit. Amazing. 2 of the best.
Goddamn. They knocked that one out of the park, I thought. Unbelievable battle.
Really good battle. Some good rebuttals in there, too. Some really funny rebuttals.
Really impressive from Katie to turn the tables on a couple of the biggest jokes. Had sex 2 times rebuttal, with your mom and dad.
Yeah.
But then kudos to Evelyn for flipping that back on her. And they kind of did the same thing later when she had she's been in a lot of martial arts movies. She's the board.
I thought that was a great rebuttal.
Unbelievable.
Really good rebuttal.
What were your initial thoughts?
I had it leaning towards Katie. Mm-hmm. I thought they were pretty even, but then that last joke, I think, took it for Evelyn. I think the Casey Anthony joke kind of brought it home.
I mean, sometimes it's a matter of who goes last, who is the freshest in their minds, because Katie's closer was insane too. The punch card at the suicide hotline.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
But then she had kind of a good rebuttal off of that too, which was like it kind of worked into her favor. Like she had that joke planned, but it almost seemed like a rebuttal because they both had that suicide
about
angle.
society healing.
Yeah.
It was I definitely don't think that was like an in the moment thing because it set up the Casey Anthony thing.
Right.
But my God, I mean, just a matter of going second and having that planned. Because honestly, if the order had been switched and Evelyn closed with the Casey Anthony thing, then Katie could have changed her last joke, tweaked it just so slightly to make it seem like a rebuttal. We might be having a completely different conversation.
Yeah, 100%.
I did have Katie a little bit ahead on points in terms of like joke writing, but in terms of just controlling the crowd and pacing, Evelyn is such a unique sort of character. And the way she kind of like pulls everybody in with the deadpan thing, I thought was incredible.
Yeah, was it like kind of like Dina Hashem in New York, how she's talks like
that's a great comp. Yeah, absolutely. Dina Hashem was one of the early battlers in New York who was just killing it and is now, moved on and is doing great things in stand-up. But she had that deadpan kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think in a way it kind of like lowers expectations. It makes the crowd think that if they've never seen you before, like, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah.
And then you land a couple of like haymakers. And she definitely, she landed, in my opinion, the first big haymaker of the battle with the, now that's progressive.
Yeah, that was a great joke.
That was unbelievable. She had like the scissoring rebuttal, which felt like it was almost part of her act. And if it's not, it should be.
I loved the finger joke from Katie, but then she went to the blood part. I was like, oh, too much.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
pull
when
it
she was
back.
talking about,
Let's pull it back a little bit.
Tasting period blood.
Yeah, I thought the fingering joke was funny, cracking a rib. I think I laughed out loud when I heard that. So.
Yeah. They both had a bunch of moments. This is the first battle I've had where I wrote down probably like 5 or 6 different things for each battler.
Yeah.
I thought they were both crushing.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is the number 2 joke, I was kind of like, like.
You know what my note on that was? Because I've done a couple battles where you'll battle somebody and they have such an insane thing that you're like, how has nobody done a joke about this?
Yeah.
And you're like, I have to do a joke about this. If I don't, I won't respect myself as a battler. If I don't do a joke about this. And the setup is so funny that it's almost impossible to top with the punchline.
Yeah, the fact she just goes, Evelyn shit herself.
Yeah, she had to push our phone call back because she shit herself.
It's so good.
Is hilarious. And I remember when I battled Sarah Keller, and I might have told this on the podcast before, and maybe I shouldn't. Sarah had, I think she talks about it in her act. She had a suicide attempt when she was younger, but the way she decided to do it was take a really big rock and throw it up in the air and then stand underneath it, which is insane on any number of levels.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And when she was giving me info, I'm looking back at her old battles and everybody's just like calling her a slut and stuff. And I'm like, I can't just sit here and call her a slut for 9 jokes when this happened. And I remember I took like a week trying to come up with the perfect joke about it. And it's just such an insane setup that almost no matter what you do, you're never going to, top the setup. The punchline can't possibly be better. Yeah, boy, I hope that's public information. Anyway, she's doing great now. We'll have her back here next week. Now I'm like, people are going to be worried. She hasn't been here in 2 weeks. She's fine. Everything's fine.
Just keep her away from a stone yard.
The idea that you could pick up a rock, first of all,
it has to be heavy.
The body strength that you would need to find a rock that both could kill you and you are strong enough to throw above your head, high enough to gain enough momentum coming down. It's a flawed plan, but it also speaks to her upper body strength.
Yeah, she got in the best shape of her life trying to commit suicide. Did Sarah invent CrossFit? just lifting rocks, throwing them.
Training like fucking Dwayne Johnson one day because she, pills are so much easier. What are we doing here?
Bro, that's the way they say women do that. That's what I would do.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. If you shoot yourself, you're inconsiderate.
Yeah. Somebody's got to clean that up.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
it's awful.
No, thank you. But back to this battle. Excellent job by both of them. Evelyn did get the win from the judges. Evelyn is somebody that I would love to see battle more. Before we started the season, she was kind of really active in the Chicago scene. She was the runner-up in their tournament in 2022. But during this season, she has not been as active. Love to see her more. Katie Kincaid, on the other hand, I want to throw this out there. She picked up 4 points for Chicago for this battle. She has now, her battles have accumulated 13 points for Chicago, which is tied for the most of any battler in any city She has contributed just as much to her city's success on RBL Weekly as any other battler in the world. So congratulations to Katie.
That's awesome.
For that. Consistently great battles, and congrats to Chicago for running. Let's talk about it just really, really quick. That footage is fucking
That's
nuts.
insane. I honestly had to cost tens of thousands of dollars, it looks like.
You would think.
They have. I had that same thing at my wedding. The fucking smoke that came. I know how much that costs.
Yeah, the like pyro at the beginning. You said before we hit play, you were like, that looks like a WWE event.
Yeah, and then that happened.
They shot that off. You're like, oh, it is a WWE.
Yeah, I thought The Undertaker was coming out.
So great job, Chicago. Great job, Evelyn. Great job, Katie. And we're going to take a lot to beat that battle. And in most weeks, I feel like that would be number one. But the number one battle this week, you were in attendance for.
I was.
This was when you were in New York last week. New York holding steady at the number 2 position in the rankings, holding on to that second and final playoff spot in America, and earning the number 1 battle this week for Dan Wicks versus James Pontillo. Here it is.
Round 1, 3 jokes, Dan Wicks, give him a round of applause.
James never pays his bill at the diner. Yeah, piece of shit. Yeah. The only tip he leaves is that the waitress should smile more.
Great job, buddy. Guys, keep it going for Special Ed Sheeran. A lot of people think Dan's a virgin, but he actually recently had a threesome. Yeah, that's right. He fucked both those twins from The Shining.
This is true. James has a severely autistic brother. Yeah. And his brother has a regularly autistic brother.
By the way, me and Dan are brothers. Dan recently became a vegetarian, so now he has Beyond Asperger's. He's a retard.
What am I?
Your turn.
All right. James tells people he's not autistic with his mouth, not his haircut. James is balding from the back, which is ironic because usually he's the one sneaking up on people.
Speaking of haircuts, keep it going for Tom Cruise if he played Rain Man. People would not think this about Dan, but Dan actually loves to rock back and forth when he talks about the Barbie movie. He's retarded. All right. Your comedy club is about to get the fattest tax write-off ever. Dan's ex-girlfriend is a successful comedian who's on MTV's Wild Now. So one of them can be seen on Spectrum, and the other is just on the Spectrum. Dan suffers from seasonal depression. He's very depressed that his ex-girlfriend just got another season of MTV's Wild Now. Dan is a big supporter of Black Lives Matter. Most of those black lives are on MTV's Wild Now. No more. It took a second because no one believes you have an ex-girlfriend. Alright, no more. This is serious. Dan's dad was in the World Trade Center on 9/11. It was very sad watching those towers blow up. Just like his ex-girlfriend's career on MTV.
Yeah.
A lot of people think Dan's Italian, but he's actually a faggot. You know who else is a faggot? Nick Cannon, creator of MTV's
It's true, my ex-girlfriend is a successful comedian on TV. The only thing that's more jealous than me of my ex-girlfriend's success is James of me for having an ex-girlfriend. Alright, here we go, prepared stuff. James has resting bitch face. Oh shit, I said that wrong. James has resting just called a woman a bitch face. James's face is actually resting confused face. Yes, James's face is stuck from the last time a woman didn't want to give him a hug. This is something cool about James. A fun fact, James can actually be in multiple places at once. Yeah, he's currently in 3 different friend zones. I genuinely can't imagine James having sex, I'm sorry. So, I asked a woman who had sex with him what it was like, and she said she couldn't remember. Fun fact, James has a rape whistle. Yeah, it's... Alright, seriously, James, I think you're a good-looking guy. I love your watch. James, you look like if someone tried to make Tony Soprano in The Sims.
Keep it going for that kid in school who always got extra time on tests. He's retarded. Dan looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, but when he rings a bell, it's because he has to tell you he just moved to the neighborhood.
A lot of women think that James is in the closet, and he is. Watching them get undressed.
I'm straight. I don't know what you want. Dan works in finance. He guards Gringotts Bank. Doesn't Dan look like if you answer his riddles, he'll tell you where John Benet Ramsey is?
I'm going to say something nice, and you're not going to believe this, but James is actually friends with a lot of hot chicks.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, but it kind of makes sense, because in some ways, he's a lot like a hot chick. He's stupid. He has a terrible personality. And I'm destroying this pussy.
destroying this pussy when you asked me to do this?
Because I got consent.
Dan wears a lot of rings. Show me when he from Frodo Baggins. Dan looks like he says "my precious" whenever he logs on to OnlyFans. He's retarded.
That's funny, but for the record, the rings are cool. Yeah, yeah, no, the rings are cool. James just doesn't understand because he only puts his fingers places they don't belong.
Your comebacks aren't even good, they're just fast.
Here's a joke I wrote.
That's all you do.
This is true. James is a creep who has a lot of parking tickets. Yes, a lot of traffic tickets. Because he doesn't understand signals or know when to stop.
Keep it going for the kid that gets cheered on during the gang rape. Dan reminds me of Tom Brady because he has a lot of rings and he spent most of his life wearing a helmet. He's retarded.
All right, I have one really savage one. Here we go. James's mother died a few years ago, which makes her get another woman he loved he'll never have sex with.
Dan got mad that my mom was cremated because now she's too black for him.
Fuck.
That was a good one.
That was a great
Yeah.
one. Honestly,
Yeah.
week 21 of the season, I think that rivals anything we've seen. It's so interesting, those 3-rounders. I almost hate when they submit a 3-rounder.
Right.
Because if a 3-rounder is decent, you're like, this would have been better as a 1-rounder.
Mm-hmm.
And if a 3-rounder is insanely good like that, it captures something that a 1-rounder just never could.
Yeah.
You know?
That was crazy to be in the room for. Like when they started the chant, like it was, it's loud on there, but in the room it was like, holy, I'm like, you can't come back from this. Like this is, if it's tied, there's no way you come back from
And
a chant.
James fought valiantly from the point of that chant. That was midway through the third. James still had 3 jokes left.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think his jokes may have been stronger, but that one joke just fucking blew the doors. And the fact that I didn't realize Dan remembered every single joke. He didn't look at his phone that's insane to me. He really is autistic. That's the 13 jokes plus all the rebuttal. That's wild to I relied on my phone very heavily.
It's a lot, and it does. It is something you see, and I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole because I want to focus on this battle. But from seeing battles from 12 different cities, you see so much of people kind of being on their notes, and the way I've in LA it was always a no. You just don't do it. Right?
Yeah.
But the way I've reacted to other scenes, and I was just out in Chicago where a lot of them use their notes, I would never detract points from that. Because it's accepted and it's part of the culture in those cities. But if you are battling with your notes and with your phone and you're battling somebody who's not, it can create an advantage for the other person because it is genuinely impressive.
13 jokes, that's wild to not have a phone out for. That was crazy. And the jokes were, they weren't short jokes. There's some long ones in there too.
Very involved. I mean, this battle had everything you could possibly want. It had great jokes. It had insane crowd energy. It had amazing rebuttals. It had both of them kind of off the cuff, coming up with shit that was funny. It had a really good chemistry. These are guys who co-run the roast battle in New York. They've been doing this for years. I believe this was the 4th time they've battled against each other.
Really?
With new jokes and just absolutely hitting home runs left and right and having fun up there and letting the audience have fun. The jokes on paper, I wrote down so many of them, but there were so many that were some of the best jokes I've heard this entire year. Dan coming out of the gates with James has a severely autistic brother and his
So
brother
good.
has a regularly autistic brother.
Yeah.
And then James being like, by the way, me and Dan are brothers.
Yeah, so good.
Was unreal.
then-
James's entire Wild and Out round
I loved it.
Was great. What did you have? You got a lot
I
of
had.
stuff there.
I had some notes, and I kind of just started paying attention to the battle and not taking
Just
notes.
having fun,
But
yeah.
yeah, the autistic. I mean, the tip smile joke. That's the tip he gives with the waitresses is to smile. From Dan was very funny. Like you said, the autistic brother, and then the next autistic joke about his hair. He's like he doesn't tell you with his words, like he tells you with his hair.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But yeah, I thought the Wild and Out round was so good. I thought that was so funny.
And it's really hard to carry that theme on for 5.
And the fact that
3 is one thing, 5 is another.
and then every time he would tag his joke with, he's retarded.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was making me. I probably shouldn't have. I probably shouldn't have said it just now.
Oh,
but,
it's okay. We're quoting somebody, so it's okay.
Thank God. But yeah, I thought super fun battle. The last round was great. Like after that giant pussy joke.
Oh my God. And then,
James
they
still came back.
kept swinging.
Yeah.
And Dan's closer about the only regret I have is that Dan had his closer about another woman that died that you love that you'll never get to have sex with, and then James had the cremation rebuttal. And you could tell he didn't get to do his last.
Yeah, he was like trying to get that last. I wish I knew what it was.
I know, same. But I mean, obviously, just like an unbelievable battle from both. As an RBL related note, Dan Wicks becomes the first battler in any city to have 2 number 1 battles this year.
Wow.
That is a hell of an achievement. This is a guy who, anytime you put him in the ring, you're going to get something very, very entertaining. His jokes are incredible. Also, the energy that he has and the likability. I mean, that third round, and I don't want this to be misinterpreted, it definitely had some autistic equipment manager gets to play in the last game of the season and buries a couple 3-pointers vibes.
Well, James had that joke. Like he looks like a guy that gets cheered on during a gangbang.
Yeah. But like short of the crowd storming the court, which he was high-fiving like fans off to the side.
He was trying.
I know.
Yeah.
And just like the bouncing, if Dan is not doing well, the bouncing just like, he just looks like a weirdo. During that last round, he went from looking like kind of like a weirdo to like, oh, that's Muhammad Ali up there.
Yeah, I like
floating like a butterfly.
I forget what joke it was, but he did the joke and then just like stopped and did like a weird smile and just started shaking with the mic. And it's like that gets a giant laugh, like in the room. Like that was like a secondary joke, just the nervous energy.
Yeah. So you battled on that same show. Was the energy anything close to that for you?
Yeah, it was a good crowd.
Great crowd.
Yeah, they were a good crowd. The first battle was a good battle too. They had a really strong first round, kind of petered off halfway during the second, but the crowd was still into it. So the crowd was pretty good. I think there was probably like 45, 50 people there.
It's a great acoustic setup for, and this is frankly the key to a lot of these roast battles. Obviously, Chicago playing in the fucking Thunderdome is an exception.
Yeah.
But a lot of these shows appear bigger on camera than they actually are. I mean, we're cramming 50 people into a tight space.
Oh yeah, it's not a big room.
In the Comedy Store, it's the attic. Here, it's the basement. But
yeah, and you can't see. You're like on top of the people in the front row.
Yeah.
Like you're right on top of them.
Absolutely, yeah. But just an incredible battle. I think at the end of the year, we're going to have a countdown of the top maybe 10 battles of the season. I can't imagine that one doesn't make the cut.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
really good. I'm sure yours and Paige's will too.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? I don't like putting my own stuff on there, but we'll see.
I said it.
Thank you. We've had a lot of great battles this year, and let's close it out by taking a look at the updated standings. Okay, so we start with international, where there was obviously very little movement this week. Toronto raking in the number 5 battle. They pick up a point for that. They are now a couple points behind Barcelona, trying to climb out of the cellar. It's been a dormant kind of period internationally because a lot of them go dark during the summer. It's harder to draw crowds. But Tokyo has a big event coming up with a title match. Scotland just announced that they are going to be having a roast battle tournament at Edinburgh, featuring battlers from Scotland, England, Barcelona, LA, New York. Those points will be obviously divided the same way we do at the Mothership, if it's like Denver versus the Bay Area. But opportunities for all of those cities to pick up points. Tokyo has their work cut out trying to fend off Scotland. And then when we look at the American side, LA, which had a 10-point lead coming in, New York has cut that lead in half. They've also established more distance between them and the 3 and 4 cities, which are now Chicago and Austin, flip-flopped. But the race is really tight for that second playoff spot in both cities. As a reminder, only 4 will make the playoffs, 2 from America, 2 internationally. Before I let you go, put you on the spot, based on everything you've seen, who do you think are the 4 playoff teams this year?
The 4 playoff teams from international, so 2 international,
2 of each, yeah.
I think L.A., New York, and then London also always has great jokes. I haven't seen a lot of the international battles, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I love your honesty.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some fun ones in Tokyo.
Yeah.
That guy, I can't think of his name on the spot. The guy with the long hair.
Jay Yamaki.
Very funny.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be great to be in there.
He's great. He's going to be going for the title against Louis Troy coming up at their next event. And then the only reason I ask you is because, we've established what the playoffs are. There will be 1 representative from each city based on not past accomplishments, nothing that happened in 2016 or whatever. We're talking about this season only. It looks like you are in a really good position to be repping LA, potentially going against a Dan Wicks from New York.
I'd love to.
Does that feel like a battle that you'd...
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Is that terrifying or exciting?
I think it's exciting. I think brings like a fun energy for a guy like that. So, as I was there watching him, I was thinking of jokes in my head. So it's like always something. I'm always like, I'll probably have to battle him someday. So,
are you one of those guys who has jokes ready for everybody?
Yeah, I kind of keep notes. I kind of just in case. Like I'd rather have it and not need it than forgot I wrote it. And be like, that was a great joke. Damn it, what was that joke I wrote? So I've been doing that since the beginning though. Like when I first started battling, I remember my first battle or something. I saw I saw Joe Urell on a battle, and I was like, I'm gonna write this down just in case we ever battle.
How many Pat Barker jokes do you have?
0.
Really?
I have 0 Pat Barker jokes.
I don't believe it.
I don't
believe it. It feels like gamesmanship.
I don't.
I mean, however you do it, whether you have a million jokes for somebody or no jokes for somebody, you are kicking ass right now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thanks for doing this, man.
Of course, man. This is great.
I appreciate you and appreciate you guys for watching. It's RBL Weekly. We'll be back next week. We've got about 10 weeks left in the season. It's really heating up, and excited to check out more battles, and see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.